Hello guys, once again welcome back to another Android app development tutorial. In this video we are going to learn about how to display contextual action bar with a list view. So we can start with a new Android Studio project. Specify application name. Now here the project is created. So first I'm going to modify the root of this layout into a relative layout. Now I place the list view, specify an ID for it. Okay, so now here we are going to display a list of fruit names in the list view. So first we need to add some fruit names. So here I am going to add the fruit names into the strings.xml in the form of a string array. So here we have a string array with array name fruits. So now we are going to display this in a list view. So first thing, we need to create a custom layout for the list view. So create a new layout resource file. I name it as item layout. Now modify the root element into relative layout. So first I'm going to modify the height of this layout into 50 dp. So here I am going to add a text view. So this is the text view that display the fruit name with ID, fruit name. So this text attribute is no longer needed, remove that one. So this is the layout that represents each item on the list view. So now we can create an adapter class for the list view. So create a new Java class. I name it as ListView adapter, and this class extends array adapter. Now create some variable. First here I am going to create some list. Now create variable for context. Now we need a constructor with the two parameters. First one is the list and second one is the context. So now we need to implement the super implementation. Okay, now we can initialize the variables from the constructor. Now override method called getView. So first create some variables for layout inflator. So typecast the context into activity and call the get layout inflator. Now we can inflate the layout r.layout.item layout. Now we need to save this into a view class object. I name it as raw. So now we can create some variables for text view. Okay, so now set the text on the text view. So get the list and get the item. Okay, and finally return raw from this method. So now the adapter class is ready. Now we can configure our list view. So first create variables for the list view. Now create the adapter. Now we can create some list. I name it as fruits. It is an array list. So now here I create a method called get fruits. Okay, now create a string array and get the array from the strings.xml. Okay, now add each item to the array list using a for each loop. Fruits.add each item. Okay, now call that method from the onCreate method. Okay, now we can initialize the ListView. Now we can initialize the adapter and pass the list and context. Okay, now we can set the adapter. Okay, so now the project is ready. Now we can test it. Okay, now the application available on this virtual device, but the list is not displaying, so there is a mistake. You can check the adapter. Yeah, inside the constructor we forget some parameter. We have to pass the resource also. It is the array list fruits. Okay, now we can test it again. Okay, now the list is ready. So this is a list view with some fruit names. So now we can enable the contextual action mode for the list view. So first thing, we have to add some vector asset for the contextual menu. So here I add some delete vector asset. Now I am going to add one more vector asset. I am going to add a share option. Okay, now we can create the menu resource file. Create a new Android resource file. I name it as context menu. Okay, now we can add the menu items. Specify ID for it, action delete. Now specify title. Now specify the icon. Okay, this is the first item. Now I'm going to add the second item. Second item is the share option. Specify the icon, I see share. Okay, so this is the menu for the contextual action bar. So now we can, so first thing, you have to implement an interface called you have to implement the multi-choice mode listener. New multi-choice mode listener. So here we have to implement methods like on item checked state change, on create action mode, on prepare action mode, on action item clicked, and on destroy action mode. So first thing, we have to inflate the menu. So we can inflate the menu from the on create action mode method. So first thing, we have to create some variables for menu inflator. So mode.get menu inflator. Now inflate the menu r.layout. It is menu dot context menu, and return true from this method. Okay, now we need to set some properties for the list view. So first specify list view dot set choice mode. Set the choice mode into choice mode multiple model. Okay, so now we have to set the listener. So list view dot set multi choice mode listener, and pass the handler for it. Here it is, mode listener. Okay, so now we can test our project. So run the project. Okay, so when I make a long click, the contextual action bar appear that contain two menu items, delete and share. Okay, so now we are going to delete particular item using the contextual action mode. So first thing, we have to add an appropriate method for delete operation inside the adapter. So here I name it as remove items. So this method contains one parameter, is a list. Now remove each item from the fruit list using a for each loop, and finally call the notified data set changed method. Okay, now go back to main activity. So first thing, create a list called user selection. We have to save the user selection. It is an array list. Okay, So each time when user select an item, the on item checked state changed method will be invoked. So from this method we can save the user selection. So if user selection dot contains fruits dot get position, in that case the item is already available in the user selection. In that case we have to remove it from the user selection list. Otherwise, that means the item is not available on the list. In that case we have to add the selected item into the user selection list. Okay. Now we set some title on the action bar, contextual action bar. So this particular number of item is selected. So now we can test it. So I run the project again. So when I select an item, now one item is selected. Now I select another one. Of course you have to highlight the selected item. Now I remove one item. Now I remove another item. Okay, so now it is working fine. So now we can perform the delete operation. We have to delete the selected items from the list. So when user select an action from the action mode, the on action item clicked method will be invoked. So here we are going to identify which item is selected by the user using a switch case statement. So if it is action delete, in that case we have to call the adapter remove items method and pass the user selection. After that we have to dismiss the action mode and return true. Now specify the default action. In that case return false. Okay, so now test it. So run the project again. Now I make a long click. That item is selected. Now I select second object, second item. Now two items deleted, and here the items are deleted successfully. Yeah, but the delete operation is working fine, but the counter is not update properly. So when user dismiss the action mode, we have to reset the user selection list. That is the mistake. So user selection dot clear. This will reset the user selection list. So now we can test it again. Okay, now select items. Now remove. Okay, now select some items. The delete operation working fine. Yeah, now the counter is working fine. And now the delete operation is also working fine. So this is how we display a contextual action bar with the list view. I hope you understand the concept. Thank you for watching.